Hi, welcome to my YouTube video. My name is Linda and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute flip-flop card. I'll be introducing the Will Walrus Be Friends, I say that really oddly, but Will Walrus Be Friends stamp set, as well as the High Seas embossing folder, showing you lots of waves on there, just for the backdrop, as well as the scalloped tag topper. We're going to use that for the end for the pull tab, which works really well. So let's get started. I've already pre-cut and embossed the card, as you can see. And just to help everybody, I've put the dimensions on little post-it notes this time. So there you go, look. And I'll be sticking those little post-it notes to the right of my sheet, to the right of the screen, just so that you can see. So the first thing I did was put the card, the main card, into the embossing folder and embossed that through the embossing machine. There you go, dimensions going down, and I'll do a zoom in every time I put a dimension sticker down for you. I probably won't mention it again now, I'll just get on and you'll see for yourself. The designer series paper that I'm using is Come Sail Away. Really nice. I just felt it was apt with the walruses. For the front, I'm going to use the striped section just because I thought it would look really nice with the blue card on top of it. The blue card I'm using is Balmy blue, which is slightly darker than the actual Stampin' blend I'm going to use, because the Stampin' blend is going to be Seaside spray, but it looks really nice. I like the effect. So all I've got here is the insert, which I've put inside all my cards. I like an insert. I like the way it finishes. So in the Balmy blue, I've already trimmed the actual tag that you pull, which is part of the flip-flop area, and I've already scored it as well. So I'm just going to burnish at the score points, which is 6 centimetres, 7, 8 and 9 centimetres. When I'm folding it there, you can actually get a little indicator of how it's starting to move, how the card will move. So I'm just checking that it all sits nicely. I do this quite a lot actually. I didn't realise until I was doing the video. But I like to line things up just to make sure it works nicely. And it does, it's all right. So what I'm going to do now is get the tag topper. And I'm just going to trim that top. Now the tag topper is 5 centimetres wide. But as you can see, this one isn't. This one's 6 centimetres. And I'm just going to use my ruler, my T-ruler, to score halfway so that when I line it up inside, it lines up nicely. Now, it's a little bit of a squeeze, but it is doable. And as you can see, I've lined up the line. And there we are. We've got those little flip-flap arms, so just trim those off. Then you're left with a nice tab top. I like this one. It's got a nice oval hole for the ribbon to go in. Sits beautifully with a 1 centimetre ribbon. So that's good. And yet again, here I am, look, lining it up. I'd like to check these things. Now, what I've got here is the other side of the DSP. So I've already die cut those using square and rectangle dies. And as you can see on the yellow post-it there, I've given you the measurements. These pieces of DSP will actually be the background to your stamped items, and they look really nice. And once you've attached them, they're the actual flip-flop part. And I'll show you in a moment, just making sure that everything's lined up. Oh, here we go again. What am I like? So just making sure everything is lined up and all fits nicely, because you can't be too sure, can you? So I'm just using a basic tacky PVA glue to attach all the pieces down now. And be very careful with this, because although the larger one, the rectangle, is stuck all the way down, I'm using glue to stick that all the way from edge to edge. The actual square pieces don't stick down all the way, only the one piece. And if you look closely now, so the first one gets stuck down on the flap. So fold over your flappy piece, and the first one gets stuck down all the way. So the glue is under everything. And then the next one and the other two are the flappy bits. It's really important that this time you put glue on the card, not on the DSP. so that you don't stick it elsewhere. So as you can see, I've left it running so you can see a bit of glue in that section that I've already scored and burnished, and I'm just lining them up. And because I'm using the PVA glue, it's just giving me a little bit of wiggle room to make sure everything is lined up and it's neat. It's worth taking that extra little time just to make sure, because when it flops, it's all synchronized, which looks really nice. So I'm just finishing off there and making sure it's all lined up and nice and tidy. There you go. Little flip-flop area. So that's the basis really. Then using the Whisper White card, I've die cut and trimmed all of the pieces that are going to go on the top of the DSP. It looks nice, doesn't it, with the little lighthouses? I think that's quite apt really, taking into account that a walrus probably would rest on the rocks underneath. Looks quite good. So now all I'm going to do is get the walrus stamp set and Memento ink. I'm using Memento because I'm using Stampin' Blends today and Memento won't smudge. So I'm just lining up the main card. Now I made a bit of a boo-boo here, and you'll probably see in a moment. Now because I wanted to put the birthday sentiment on the bottom, I wanted to stamp the walrus over the top, but I didn't quite line it up right, as you'll see. And his little feet were on top of the piece of post-it note that I used. So abracadabra, I have a Memento pen, one of my best investments ever. Really good for adding sort of like fixing boo-boos, I guess. So here I am. I'm just going to correct my error and put in his little feet, and that works really well, doesn't it? So easy done. And then here we go. All I'm going to do now is get all the little walrus friends and get stamping. At this point I wanted to add one of the little splashing fish, so I've lined up my final walrus card to make sure that when I stamp it, it's in place and you can see it when you open it. So here's all my little cute walruses, don't they look lovely? And I'm now going to get stuck in with the Stampin' markers. Now for this I used 3 main colours. I used the Seaside spray, I used Crumb cake, and I used the, sorry, I'm just looking now, the Smoky slate, and I just got colouring. So here we go. And with the beauty of editing, I'm going to use above the clouds, using the Seaside spray ink pad, which is just links, it's the same colour as the pens I was using. So I'm just going to, I'm going to stamp these off actually, because I want them to be pale. So what I've got is just a little spare bit of paper. I'm stamping my clouds and then I'm stamping them off onto a scrap piece and then doing second stamping on my actual card. And it's really nice because they just come up pale and they're there rather than big deep you know, colours. So here we go, we're going to attach them now onto the fronts, just lining them up, and I'll get sticking. The ribbon I have here is the metallic edge ribbon. It's white with silver trim. It looks really nice. I don't have any blue ribbon, but I thought this looked quite nice because of the white, etc. So I'm just adding that on now and lining it up to make sure that it fits nicely. I'm going to start sticking everything down and making sure that everything's in place before I put the flip-flop bit on. What I have next is the trickiest part, I guess, and I think looking over this video I made a bit of a hash of it, but we shall see. Now we've got to attach this down so that it doesn't fall away, and using a small strip of the Balmy blue. Now it's quite difficult to explain what I'm going to do next, so what I'll do is I'll just get on with it and you can see for yourself, okay? Now that's all stuck down, I'm just going to try it out. And there it is. Works beautifully. Being gentle because the glue is still a little bit wet, but works a treat. Now I'm going to put the inside in. And using the sentiment from the actual set again, from All of Me, I think that just goes really well with Ready or Not, It's Your Birthday, from All of Me. Of course, if it was from a family it wouldn't work, but from just one person it's great. So using the Memento ink again, so there's no smudging, I'm just going to stick that down. But I'm also going to add a little walrus in the corner, just peeking out. And finally, just to finish off, using a roller glue, a permanent glue, so that it's nice and strong, I'm attaching the insert. I always put the glue on top of the insert, so that when you open the card, it automatically lifts that front page. Works okay. I've always just done it like that. It works well for me. So there we are, looking good. A nice flip-flop walrus card. Thank you so much for watching my video. Hope you'll come back and watch another one.